Good morning, investors. Hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. Welcome to our fourth episode of Investor Awareness and Education, spearheaded by Mirai Asset Mutual Fund and powered by Outlook Money. I'm Deepika Asthana, your host for this session. Today, we have with us Mr. Vaibhav Shah, Head Product Marketing and Corporate Communications at Mirai Asset Investment Managers, India Private Limited. Mr. Shah has more than 15 years of experience in the field of financial services and stock markets. Prior to this, he was product manager, mutual funds and alternate investment products at DBS Bank Limited. He has also worked as a product manager, Indian equities with ICICI Bank Limited, and has been associated with organizations like Karvy Stockbroking Limited and India Bull Securities Limited. Good morning, Vaibhav, and welcome.
Yeah, hi Deepika.
Right. Great. So, as a mutual fund investor today, we are thoroughly spoiled for choice. There are multiple schemes that invest in different asset classes and follow varying themes and strategies. So, in the backdrop of such a landscape, investors are often left wondering where they should invest. Is equity better than debt? And when should they switch? So, making some of these investment decisions easier are hybrid funds that invest in both equity and debt investments. However, in order to make the best investment decisions, Vaibhav is going to help us today distill both hybrid funds and guide us on how they can add value to our portfolios. Vaibhav, before we dig into what hybrid funds are, can we first touch upon a little bit upon the concept of asset allocation and why it's important for investors to actually understand this?
Sure. Thanks, Deepika. I think so you've brought forward a very, very important topic, which is asset allocation. And it's a topic which is ignored a lot by investors. If you see the way market has behaved on 24th of September, market has hit an all-time high and closing above 60,000 level on the index. But if we just go back 18 months, market would have been at half those levels. At today's time, you would be thinking, why don't I have a large part of my allocation in equities? And as I said, maybe 18 months back, you would be thinking, why am I investing in equities? And that's how sentiments are. Sentiments change very, very quickly. And what is very, very important at all periods of time is to be very disciplined in the way you invest. And the way of investing in a disciplined manner is to create an asset allocation based on various asset class, which an investor can do based on his risk profile, his investment time horizon, and the investment risks that he wants to take. And that's where the investor needs to take help of a financial advisor to create an asset allocation strategy for him. Deepika, I just want to add one more thing.
Sure.
Is that when you see historically, a lot of studies have been done, and they all point out that there are three key parameters which are important for driving investment returns. One is the security or stock selection, second is market timing, and third is asset allocation. And the history provides us an insight which shows a large part of returns are actually driven not by market timing or choosing the right security, but by choosing the right mix between debt and equity. So asset allocation is the first step an investor needs to take when he starts making the investments. And all his decisions of which scheme to invest, in which categories to invest, is all driven by what is a mix of equity and debt they should invest in.
Sure. So that's I think I fully agree with you, of course, because there is I think a lot of literature also around the fact that how optimal asset allocation can help you diversify your risk simply because all asset classes do not move in tandem, right? Sometimes one goes up, the other goes down, and then overall your portfolio then the downside gets limited. But you also brought about the aspect of timing, right? And I think from that perspective, not just timing, but exposure to different asset classes, the two main ones are equity and debt. Now, as an investor, how would I know how much to allocate to an equity, how much to allocate to a debt? And I think that's where hybrid funds are now gaining a little bit more traction because they take care of these allocations and the timing in terms of switching from one asset class to another. So maybe we can just talk a little bit about what exactly hybrid funds are and how they can help investors achieve optimal asset allocation.
Sure. So Deepika, I think so again, like we rightly pointed out, the beauty of asset allocation is that, asset classes basically don't move in the same direction. So there are periods when equity markets does significantly well, and you would see debt markets not being able to give you that kind of returns which an equity market does. And there are periods when equity markets go through a significant amount of correction and debt markets do well in
Mhm.
case the interest rates move down, and they provide you the cushion to your portfolio.
Yeah.
This is because of negative correlation or low correlation between
Mm.
those asset classes. So the
Sure.
beauty of hybrid funds is when you mix both asset classes. And I'm saying why we are talking more on debt and equity. We
Mhm.
have got many other asset classes like commodities, which includes gold or real estate, unlisted markets or VC investments. But some of this is not available for retail investors to do. And Indians by the nature are always overweight on gold or real estate. So it's an asset class I think everyone owns. So we leave them as physical assets and we'll
Mhm.
stick to the financial assets of equity and debt.
Mhm.
Now, in the case of hybrid, uh, when you mix those asset classes of equity and debt, they provide you different outcomes. So
Mhm.
hybrid funds, if you were to see the nature of hybrid funds, we have essentially six type of hybrid funds,
Okay.
starting with as low as 20% allocation to equities and
Mhm.
80% allocation to debt, and
Mhm.
going the reverse, which is 80% allocation and 20% equity. 20% in debt and 80% in equities. So
Mhm.
based on your risk profile and your time horizon, you could
Mhm.
choose which hybrid fund suits you, and that can be a choice which an investor can make with the help of his advisor.
Okay. Mhm. Okay, so maybe we can dwell so a little bit more into categories. So I'll be very honest. I think in the whole hybrid fund category, one which I know very well is the dynamic asset allocation funds. I understand them pretty well. But I think there are, like you said, the entire spectrum from 80% equity and 20% debt to vice versa, 80% debt to 20% equity. So just from an investor perspective, what sort of allocations or what sort of categories would be well suited, let's say, for a conservative investor, for an aggressive investor, and for a moderate investor?
Sure. So Deepika, you've rightly pointed out that there are various categories which are present.
Mm-hmm.
So for an investor who's conservative, there
Mm-hmm.
are essentially, I would believe, three categories on the hybrid side which they can
Okay.
look at.
Sure.
So first starts with a conservative hybrid category, in
Mm-hmm.
which you have about 15 to 20% allocation in equities
Mm-hmm.
and the remaining allocation of about 80-85% in debt.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, essentially, what you try and do in this category is an investor who, for example, starts to migrate from making investments only from FDs or traditional fixed income investments, wants
Mm-hmm.
to start making investments into equities. This is the first step that they should take, which is a conservative hybrid fund where you can have 15% or 20% allocation to equities. And
Sure.
that gives you the flavor of how equity markets do and gives you that stability of debt. The
Mm-hmm.
second category, which is equity savings, is again a beautiful category where you have allocations between about 20 to 40% in equities and the remaining 60 to 80% in debt. Now, this is slightly aggressive compared to a conservative hybrid category, but
Mm-hmm.
especially during this time when interest rates have gone down quite
Mm-hmm.
significantly, and when you see the way interest rates are there globally, I think so we are in the trend that structurally interest rates in India will move lower over the next 1 or 2 decades.
Okay.
You would say investors would want to get certain kicker so that their real rate of return, and I mean
Mm-hmm.
real rate of return is your return minus inflation, is
Mm-hmm.
higher. So you
Mm-hmm.
actually don't lose out on your money. That is
Mm-hmm.
where equity savings is one of the most beautiful category for
Okay.
investors to look at. As I said, 20 to 40% is in equities.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the flexibility is there to the fund manager to change his allocation within this range. So there are times when he see markets are looking attractive, he
Mm-hmm.
may go as much as 35-40% in equities. And when he sees that markets are overvalued, the fund manager has that flexibility of reducing allocation to about 20-25% as well.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So, and conservative investor can look at this category as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the third category is an arbitrage fund. Essentially, arbitrage fund used to be always classified as an equity fund,
Pretty fair.
but arbitrage by the nature invest about 70-75% in arbitrage strategies. And just for the benefit of investors, arbitrage means when you buy a security in one market and sell it in the other market. In the olden days, you could have thought of as buying it in the NSE and selling it in BSE. Now, the markets have become so efficient that price on NSE, BSE exchanges are almost the same. So the arbitrage comes when you buy it, say, in the cash market and you sell it in the futures market.
Okay.
And usually you see that the futures are trading at a premium to the cash market, and you try and take advantage of that spread. So an arbitrage fund invests 70-75% in this kind of arbitrage strategies and has flexibility of investing about 20-25% in debt. Now, in this scenario, where, like I said, liquid funds in the past used to give returns between 6 to 8% return, have now really plummeted to about 3-3.5% returns because interest rates have moved down significantly over the last 12-18 months. Arbitrage is coming out as a beautiful category for investors where they get the benefit of equity fund taxation and they can, get their investments done for short-term parking. So just one thing, Deepika, I wanted to add. Like I said, in the case of equity savings, the allocation is actually between equity, arbitrage, and debt, 3 asset classes. And because equity savings also invest in arbitrage, the taxation for equity savings is also on the taxation is as an equity fund. So both equity savings and arbitrage are getting the taxation of equity funds, which is quite beneficial for investors, and this helps them get more tax efficient returns. So long answer, I know, but from conservative point of view, you have 3 categories which investors can look at for investing.
Sure. Okay. So here, I just want to distill this a little bit more. So basically, I understand the first category where you said the allocation to equity is quite minimal. But in my view, from what you have just explained, the beauty about the other 2 funds that you mentioned, equity savings and arbitrages, that you can actually also capture the upside potential of equities without probably taking the commensurate risk. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, so Deepika, you've raised a right point because, in the case of both equity savings as well as, the arbitrage fund, say for the sake of equity savings, you have about 30-40% allocation to arbitrage. Now, the arbitrage is done in equity instruments, but they are completely hedged positions. So you have, you've bought a security in the cash market, but equal amount you've shorted it in the futures market. So your actual risk on that portfolio is absolutely very, very low. And that's why it may look like it's an equity allocation, but the allocation risk is significantly low. And the same case is true for arbitrage as well. And both these categories getting the advantage of equity fund taxation become efficient for investors without taking higher risk of equity investments.
Excellent, excellent. So then again, I'll just add on a little bit to this as well. So then can we also say that not just for conservative investors, but it's really a great way for even young investors or people, who are just starting their investment journey to dip into the equities and maybe enjoy the long-term benefits of equities?
Yeah, so Deepika, absolutely. So like we've covered only the conservative side of hybrid funds, we have, then few other categories like we have the balanced fund category where balanced means exactly 50% allocation to equity and 50% to debt. And since 50% allocation is equities and 50% is debt, they are get taxed as debt funds.
Okay.
Then you have a slightly more aggressive tilt of funds, which is funds which are called as aggressive hybrid funds, which were earlier called as balanced funds. But now after SEBI categorization, they are called as aggressive hybrid funds, in which the allocation to equities is 65 to 80%,
Okay.
and the allocation to debt is 20 to 35%.
Mm-hmm.
And one more category that you had mentioned was
Mm-hmm.
dynamic category or balanced advantage.
Mm-hmm.
It gives the fund manager the flexibility of moving his allocation theoretically between equities and debt from 0 to 100%. But for
Okay.
all practical purposes, what
Mm-hmm.
fund houses do is
Mm-hmm.
because you want the funds to be taxed as equity,
Mm-hmm.
your allocation to equity plus arbitrage is always about 65-70%, and
Mm-hmm.
the remaining is in debt.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
like you said, you are a first time investor and you have, say, moderate or aggressive risk profile. Then
Mm-hmm.
you can look at a balanced fund or an aggressive hybrid fund or a balanced advantage fund as well for
Okay.
your investment decision making. Each one of them comes with its own way of investing and its own set of benefits. I
Mm-hmm.
just want to cover aggressive hybrid fund,
Sure.
Deepika, and share a very important point which is sometimes missed by investors.
Mm-hmm.
And we were analyzing a lot of data.
Mm-hmm.
And when we see returns of markets over different cycles
Mm-hmm.
has given different returns. So
Sure.
for a 10-year cycle from 2010 to 2020, actually, very surprisingly, debt had outperformed equity. And
Okay.
this sounds very shocking for investors. But during that 10 period, at
Mm-hmm.
certain points, GSEC funds had outperformed some of the equity funds.
Okay.
But when you take the period set from 2011 to 2021, you would have seen equity funds doing exceedingly well
Correct.
versus debt funds.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the case of an aggressive hybrid fund, which has a good mix between debt and equity, we've
Mm-hmm.
seen a 75% equity and a
Mm-hmm.
25% debt portfolio
Mm-hmm.
has actually outperformed the 100% equity portfolio.
Okay.
Okay. And this
Mm-hmm.
is very, very important data point that investors need to understand because a portfolio which has only 75% equity, 25% debt has actually outperformed 100% equity portfolio. Now, when
Mm-hmm.
you mix these two asset class where equity is 75 and debt is 25, the overall risk on the portfolio is lower because
Mm-hmm.
the standard deviation or the risk profile of debt is significantly lower compared to equities.
Mm-hmm.
So when you mix a 75-25 portfolio, your risk is significantly lower and your return potential is equally good.
Mm-hmm.
One key thing that again I want to emphasize
Mm-hmm.
and reinforce what we discussed in my earlier example.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take an example that you started investing in March 2020
Sure.
and your allocation in equity was 70 and
Mm-hmm.
your allocation in debt was 30.
Okay.
During this 18-month period, markets have rallied 100%,
Mm-hmm.
right? So your actually 70 rupees that you had invested in equities
Mm-hmm.
has become 140.
Mm-hmm.
And the 30 rupees that you had invested in debt, assuming, let's take for simplicity, it grows by 10%,
Sure.
it becomes 33.
Mm-hmm.
So your 100 rupees is now worth 173.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
When you actually take out the percentages, what is my equity allocation?
Mm-hmm.
It is now not 70 or 30. It is
Mm-hmm.
now 85% plus in equities
Mm-hmm.
and only 15% in debt.
That.
What
Mm-hmm.
an aggressive hybrid or any hybrid fund does,
Mm-hmm.
it completely rebalances its portfolio
Okay.
every month or on an ongoing basis. So your allocation to equities at all points is say between 70 or 75%, and your
Mm-hmm.
allocation to debt remains whatever 25%, which
Mm-hmm.
means you are booking profits at every highs in markets and
Right.
rebalancing your portfolios. So you
Mm-hmm.
buy low and you
Mm-hmm.
sell high. This is
Mm-hmm.
exactly what an investor should be doing.
Doing.
The
Mm-hmm.
same thing if an investor were to do in his portfolio
Mm-hmm.
without a mutual fund route, he would have to pay taxes by selling his security,
Mm-hmm.
and when he buys it, there is a transaction cost.
Okay.
But when a mutual fund does, the profit booking for
Mm-hmm.
the investor, it becomes a you know tax efficient way because mutual fund is a tax pass through vehicle where
Right.
they doesn't need to pay any tax, and hence the rebalancing is done automatically for investors without any tax incidence. This is
Mm-hmm.
one of the most powerful advantage that
Mm-hmm.
a hybrid fund or an aggressive hybrid fund can provide to investors of auto rebalancing without the need for tax payment, which
Mm.
investors should definitely consider while making their investments.
Excellent. Okay. That's really interesting, Vaibhav, because auto rebalancing. So, of course, the benefit that you highlighted from a taxation perspective is potent, right? But I'll come back to what you just said about buying low and selling high. So we all, I think every investor knows that that's what you should capture. Unfortunately, for many reasons, and largely due to emotional and behavioral biases, most investors are actually not able to, even like, for example, at current market levels, we really don't know what to do, right? So from that perspective, can it also be said that aggressive hybrid funds help you minimize the impact of behavioral biases on your portfolio decisions? Because, like you said, it's automated, the rebalancing is automated.
Yeah, so Deepika, you have rightly pointed out that you know the and we've seen a lot of studies done globally, and it
Mm-hmm.
always says that suppose the investment return is high, but the
Mm-hmm.
investor return sometimes is half of the investment
Correct, right.
return.
Mm-hmm.
And the investor return turns out lower just
Mm-hmm.
because of our behavior pattern of how
Correct.
we invest.
Sure.
Now, the best way to counteract our investment behavior is to be very disciplined in the asset allocation strategy. And
Right.
you leave the asset allocation strategy to be followed by the fund house based
Mm-hmm.
on certain principles.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just want to again tell you that
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to asset allocation, you have three various ways of asset allocation. One
Mm-hmm.
is you have a static asset allocation, which is you keep 70-30 at all times. You have a
Okay.
tactical asset allocation where, based on markets, you have, say, 70-30 as the allocation, but provides you flexibility to become 75-25 or
Mm-hmm.
80-20 as well. And
Mm-hmm.
you have the third, which is completely dynamic, where
Mm-hmm.
your 70-30 can become 30-70 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as a fund house, we believe for an investor to move to a dynamic allocation is very,
Mm-hmm.
very difficult, because what happens, his risk profile, say, is conservative, then he becomes aggressive. If he's
Mm-hmm.
aggressive, he'll become conservative. So
Mm-hmm.
an investor within the same fund becomes from aggressive to conservative and conservative to aggressive. The better way is to have a sort of a static or a slight tactical asset allocation where only maybe 5-10% rebalancing can be done by the investor based on how markets are behaving. And
Mm-hmm.
this removes the emotion of investing from investors, and keeps the onus on the fund house to invest based on the investor's risk profile,
Mm-hmm.
and keep investing based on the asset allocation mix. And
Perfect.
historically, I think one of the best ways the industry and investors have been able to tackle volatility is
Mm-hmm.
SIP, right? And when we say SIP is the way of investing where you do rupee cost averaging, which is you try and take advantage of all corrections and help you get more units, especially when markets correct. I
Mm-hmm.
think so. SIP is again a very good disciplined way.
Mm-hmm.
Investors should invest in a hybrid funds as well, because
Mm-hmm.
they can take advantage of this low buying and maximize it by booking profits when markets go high. So
Mm-hmm.
SIP is again a good way to use to get this emotion element out from your investments.
Correct. Right. So I completely agree with you. I think SIPs are probably one of the best innovations that have come out of the industry, right? Because, like you said, they help you participate at all market levels, thus averaging your cost of acquisition. And of course, there is the whole idea of power of compounding and discipline. So definitely, and I personally feel, and I mean, I hope, you can agree with me that. So the funds that we just spoke about, the hybrid funds, they have an element of equity in debt, which kind of helps you mitigate the impact of volatility in the equity markets. And then if you layer it through an SIP investment, those benefits only get amplified further.
No, absolutely, Deepika. So, you have two powerful things, and when you combine them, which is
Mm,
asset allocation, and you
mm,
combine it with discipline of SIP investments, your overall investment experience becomes much better.
yes.
Um, and
Mm,
time and again, we keep saying, Warren Buffett has this very famous quote that you invest assuming that market is closed for 10 years and you invest for long periods of time.
Right. Yes.
The third potent way of making money is
Mhm.
for investing for long periods of time.
Right.
When you
Right.
combine all these three elements, your investment experience becomes bigger. So
Mhm.
when you invest asset allocation, SIP and long term, I
Mhm.
think so investors' experience will become much better.
Mhm.
And hybrid funds, which have flexibility of changing allocation between debt and equity, can
Mhm.
make it simpler for investors. See, in this
Mhm.
day and age, we've seen a lot of experts saying that market is rallying because not only we have FPIs, we
Mhm.
have the domestic mutual funds, but now the third strong wave which has come out is this retail DIY customers who
Mhm.
are investing in markets. Now,
Mhm.
most of these DIY customers have seen a bull rally in the last 1 or 2 years
Correct.
and have had only a good experience of investing.
Yes.
Now, if they want to invest with the right mix of asset allocation, one of the best ways they can do is take the help of an advisor and
Mhm.
invest in an hybrid fund which matches their risk profile. And
Mhm.
you need not have five categories of funds. In fact, if you have
Mhm.
one hybrid fund which is 75-25, which is
Mhm.
based on your risk profile, then you don't need to have multiple funds. You can invest in an hybrid fund and which automatically does your rebalancing, is
Mhm.
tax efficient, helps you to be disciplined. So for those segment of investors, I think
Mhm.
so this is coming out as a very important category that they should not miss out on.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree with you. So I think let's also discuss a little bit of the current environment, and interest rates are falling. And like you said, this regime is likely to continue into the next 2 years at least. And markets where they are, valuations do seem to be a little stretched. So, in the backdrop of such an environment, would it be correct to say that hybrid funds can offer a ray of hope to investors that are looking for inflation beating returns?
Yeah, absolutely, Deepika. I completely agree. I say actually the beauty of stock market is, you always look at your neighbor and see, oh my God, he's bought his Mercedes because he's invested in stock market, and I'm still
Correct.
driving my Maruti. I need to upgrade myself.
Correct.
But you have to think what is your risk profile and whether your risk profile matches with your neighbors. And if
Correct.
it doesn't match, you cannot, invest based on his risk profile. So
Mm-hmm.
in the market that we are in, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the investors may have also missed out the rally
Correct.
and
Mm-hmm.
are thinking, how do I invest? At
Mm-hmm.
this moment, can I have a large part of my allocation in equities? Or
Mm-hmm.
how much should I allocate in debt? And that is where hybrid funds take this, decision making pain from investors
Mm-hmm.
to and pass it to the fund house, where the fund house can manage the asset allocation within the range of each category that we discussed in, and
Mm-hmm.
provide the investors a more simpler journey of investing.
Perfect.
So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, let me just add one more point on this is that, like I said, structurally in India, we believe interest rates should move down. And I'll tell you
Mm-hmm.
why. Uh, 35% of the world
Mm-hmm.
is at negative interest rates. Almost equally, maybe 35% of the world is less than 1.5% interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
When you see maybe 70% of the world is less than 2% interest rate. And
Mm-hmm.
when you look at interest rates in India, I know 5-6% looks low, but
Mm-hmm.
when 70% of the world is at such low interest rates,
Mm-hmm.
India, which is one of the fifth or sixth largest economy in the world,
Mm-hmm.
you would see that the interest rates will tend to move down on a structural pattern. And
Mm-hmm.
the rates, we I keep saying that the FD returns will become like savings bank account returns, and that day will come very soon. So in
Mm-hmm.
this environment, when interest rates will move down, two things. A hybrid fund give you that dual advantage that in case interest rates move down, the
Mm-hmm.
debt portion can provide you the advantage of uh, capital appreciation as the bond prices move up when interest rates move down.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, when the yields are so low, you want to get the advantage of your returns being higher than inflation. And that's where the equity component becomes equally very, very important.
Mhm.
Yes, advantage that equity provides when interest rates move down structurally is that the corporate tax or profitability goes up significantly, corporate profit.
Right.
And that means that the market valuations also look not as expensive as they used to. So in
Right.
these markets where, though markets have rallied a lot, interest rates are subdued and expected to not move up meaningfully,
Mhm.
you believe that a good mix of hybrid funds, say for
Mhm.
a conservative investor, an equity savings kind of a fund,
Mhm.
for moderate to aggressive investors, aggressive hybrid fund, and for investors looking for short-term parking, an arbitrage fund can be
Mhm.
good categories of hybrid funds which they can look at, which are tax efficient and can give them a better experience.
Mhm. That that's interesting. And when you were just mentioning all of these fund categories, it just came to my mind. Like you mentioned, the conservative fund and the arbitrage fund and the aggressive hybrid fund. So basically, the category, the several funds within this broad category can actually meet every need of an investor. So if I'm conservative or if I need some income or if I need some stability, there is some fund within this broad category which would be able to meet my needs. And I think that's fairly potent, actually. So, yeah.
Absolutely right, Deepika. So we have categories within hybrid which can meet conservative, moderate, and aggressive
Mm-hmm.
investors. And just Deepika, because you mentioned something very important, and I wanted to show an
Mm-hmm.
advantage which hybrid funds give is
Mm-hmm.
that when you do a systematic withdrawal plan or an SWP
Mm-hmm.
in hybrid funds, it is a very powerful tool for investors to use it for retirement planning as well. See,
Mm-hmm.
traditionally in India, people are used to using dividends for retirement planning. Now, with dividends being taxable, it is not a tax efficient way for investors to invest. So, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of investors can invest in an hybrid fund, take an SWP or a systematic withdrawal plan, and
Mm-hmm.
they can withdraw systematically, which can be used for them for your retirement planning as well. So you can start an SIP in hybrid funds for various goals. So you can start with goals of children education or marriage. And when you do a systematic withdrawal in hybrid funds, you can use it for retirement as well.
Right.
Essentially, we keep saying as a fund house,
Mm-hmm.
every investor who makes an investment in any fund should
Mm-hmm.
ideally do it with a goal or a purpose in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't invest with a goal or purpose in mind, you actually don't know when you should redeem. Your redemption should not be based on market movement. It should be based on whether you have achieved your goal.
Excellent.
If you've achieved your goal, doesn't matter whether market is 60,000 or 50,000 or 1 lakh. Your aim is to make your investments based on a goal. And
Mm-hmm.
hybrid funds, if used the right way, can be used as a goal, you know, making investing tool for investors as well.
Excellent. Excellent. I think I will. I think my biggest takeaway from everything that you've just said is the last bit, which you said that your redemption should not be contingent upon market levels, but it should actually be tethered to your goals. And if you've reached your goal, it's time to redeem. It's a very, very, very potent takeaway, actually. Um, I would just ask you maybe one last question, Vaibhav, because this has been on my mind while we were having this conversation. I just wanted to understand a little bit better uh, how the equity and debt portions of hybrid funds, specifically the aggressive hybrid funds, what is the investment strategy for each asset class? What is it that fund managers usually look for, and how maybe as an investor, how can I choose the best hybrid fund for myself?
Sure. So, Deepika, like you rightly pointed out, see, in the case of a aggressive hybrid fund,
Mhm.
as per the offer documents, most funds will have investments minimum 65% in equities because you want to get the tax benefit of equities, and
Mhm.
up to 80% maximum in equities. So the range is between 65 to 80.
Okay. Mhm.
The most funds will have between say 70 to 75% allocation in
Mhm.
equities. As I said, they will use a tactical shift of 5-7% to go either overweight on equities or go underweight on equities based
Mhm.
on market sentiments. So, when markets are in such roaring stage, maybe it's good
Mhm.
to take some profits and bring
Mhm.
those levels to maybe 68 or 70. And maybe like we saw last year when markets had corrected a lot, it makes sense to go slightly more and increase your weight to maybe 77 or 80%.
Sure.
So fund houses have that flexibility. So they
Mhm.
use filters like valuation parameters
Mhm.
to decide how much should be the allocation in equity.
Sure. Mhm.
Now, the second aspect is debt that then becomes a rebalancing figure of how much should be invested.
Mhm.
Now, I think one of the key things that investors can look at when they invest in hybrid funds,
Mhm.
I'm very thankful that you raised this,
Mhm.
is that when you invest in hybrid funds, essentially you have to see what is my risk. So you are
Correct.
coming to this category not wanting to take very high risk. Otherwise, you would have gone to an equity fund. So
Mhm.
if you don't want very high risk in that category, you have to make sure when you go through the fact sheet and collaterals of that fund, you see
Mhm.
what is the strategy being used in that fund. So
Mhm.
a aggressive hybrid fund, which has high allocations to mid caps or small caps, is actually going to be more vulnerable than a fund which has higher allocations to large caps, which are more stable, can weather the storm across various market cycles. So
Mhm.
investors can look at what is the allocation between large and mid caps to decide which fund house could be chosen based on the equity category within that fund that they have invested in. Now, similarly on the debt side, we've seen that from 2018 to 2020-21, many accidents happening on the debt
Mhm.
market, many
Correct.
companies defaulting. So
Correct.
for generating slightly higher returns, if the
Mhm.
fund has taken risk in lower credits,
Mm.
which is
Okay.
less than AAA or AA rated instruments,
Mhm.
then ideally you should not invest with those funds because then the risk becomes higher for that investor. You
Correct.
could prefer funds which are investing in GSECs, government bonds, or AAA rated bonds where the risk is significantly
Mhm.
lower. And you also see what is the interest rate risk that some of these funds are holding. So if
Mhm.
the interest, if they are running with 10-year strategy, which
Mhm.
means your risk on the uh, interest rates in case the call goes wrong is also high.
Fine.
So
Mhm.
these are few parameters that investors can look at. How much allocation is there between equity and debt? Second
Mhm.
is within equities, are you allocating more to large caps or to mid and small caps? And on
Mhm.
the debt side, are you taking interest rates or credit risks? If
Mhm.
some of these don't match with what your view is based on your risk profile and your
Mhm.
time horizon and your advisor's suggestion to you, then I
Mhm.
think so you need to rethink whether this fund makes sense for you. A lot of times, I always keep believing is that when you take so much effort to earn money, your hard
Mhm.
earned money, why
Mhm.
would you like to risk it?
Mhm.
If if you want to
True.
make your hard earned money work, then
Mhm.
please do some amount of homework, go through the fact sheets, take
Mhm.
help of advisors, and choose funds within the category which will make sense for you.
Perfect. Thank you, Vaibhav. That was very instructive because I think the whole purpose is, of course, to educate oneself in what you just outlined in terms of the product benefits, the category benefits, suitability, and then, of course, the things that investors should look at when they are choosing the right hybrid one fund for their investment portfolio. I think this will go a long way in helping investors make the most optimal investment decisions. So thank you very much for that. I'll just do a quick 2 minute summary and in the best way possible that I can. And then, after that, if there are any things that I've missed out or you would like to, just close with a few words, we'll take it from there. So we basically started with the importance of asset allocation and why it's good to spread your investment portfolio along multiple asset classes because most asset classes have negative to little correlation with each other. Thus, in sharp market movements, one asset class performs and the other doesn't, and thus you protect your portfolio from downside risk. When we're talking about asset allocation, there are three things that one must consider. One is, of course, your return consideration. The other is your investment time horizon, and most importantly, what your risk profile is. It's very important to ensure that your risk profile is very well aligned with the investments that you make. Within this, hybrid funds is an investment, is a product category that invests in both debt and equity instruments. The whole idea is to capitalize upon the benefits of equity, that is long-term growth, while limiting the downside, which is also inherent due to the volatility that equity markets offer. Within this very broad category, there are offerings for conservative investors like conservative hybrid funds, like equity saving funds and arbitrage funds. And then there are also offerings for investors looking for higher equity return to the aggressive hybrid funds and balanced advantage funds. So these funds have a higher allocation to equities and thus are better positioned to capture any equity upsides. Additional benefits of hybrid funds are that they provide you equity taxation. And of course, due to the automated rebalancing that fund managers follow, you're able to remove the emotional aspect, which often comes into investment decision making. And then we finally wound up with understanding how to analyze hybrid funds. And as Vaibhav, you mentioned that look at how much has been allocated to equity and how much has been allocated to debt. Within equity, also check the risk exposure in terms of how much is allocated to large caps and how much is allocated to mid and small caps, because mid and small caps usually have a higher degree of risk. For the debt portion of your portfolio, please do look at the credit risk, because this can increase the overall risk of the investment portfolio. So that's what we have. I think that these are my key takeaways from this fabulous conversation. But Vaibhav, I will leave it to you to maybe just wind this up in your own words.
So Deepika, you covered everything that we spoke on. Just wanted to reinforce what I said is, first, as an investor, asset allocation is one of the biggest tools that an investor has for creating, long-term wealth. So the investor needs to create an asset allocation and a financial plan with the help of his advisor to, combat market volatility. Second, I guess one of the biggest tools you would have is discipline of investing. So invest systematically, invest through SIP or STP and stagger your investments. And whenever you invest with a clear goal in mind so that you can map when you can redeem your investments and ideally invest for long periods of time. If investors were to follow some of the points that you've highlighted and we've discussed today, their investment experience will be much better, and that will help them create long-term wealth.
Viewers, if you have been like this conversation, if you have any feedback for us, or if you have any queries, please do write back to us on editor@outlookmoney.com, and we will address these queries at the earliest and get back to you. Thank you.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.